Morning, everybody. It is 8:11 a.m. It's May 15th. Good morning. Welcome to my channel. Yesterday in the market went up, the market went down, and eventually the market went up. All right. Powell's really didn't say anything new yesterday, and then the market kind of just settled kind of down at the lows, and then around 2 o'clock, it kind of made its move, and a nice move it made. All right. Pushed higher, internals got stronger. The volume yesterday actually wasn't unbelievable, but it was a lot better than it has been. Hopefully today that continues. This morning the volume is not the best, but hopefully after CPI is reported, we'll get some better volume. And that's the big thing today is CPI, core inflation, and the headline CPI number. We're going to look into that. We'll watch it live later. That's going to drop at 8:30 a.m. So that means the triple-headed monster will definitely change. VIX, dollar, and 10-year yield. That will change. Gold. We'll see how gold moves with that. All right, crude this morning is bottoming out at a key level. I'm very interested in crude. Kind of just been in a range, and if it violates this level, it could drop pretty pretty significantly. If it holds it, you could go back up to the top of the balance. Might get into that later if we have time. All right. So, without further ado, welcome to my channel. My name is Steve Gonzalez. I use volume profile, market profile to find structure in the market, along gamma exposure level, supply and demand. Anchor VWAP's most traded price of the rolling year, the current year, the rolling month, the rolling week, and the previous day. Just helps me find structure in the market. It's my foundation. It's where I look to set up a plan. Around 8:30, I go over trade scenarios. Today will be a little different because 8:30 is when news drops. So we'll look at the markets live, and we'll check out the results and how the market moves. Like yesterday, what happened was PPI was hot. The market ripped down, but then quickly recovered, which was bullish. Okay, if it would have held the lows, it would have it would have been bearish, but the market didn't care about it. Once that liquidation break happened, it quickly recovered, and then basically you remove sellers from the market. So that's how that works. All right. So if you can subscribe, set an alert if you haven't already. All right. If you like my content and enjoy it, please give me a thumbs up. You could always follow me also on X at Gonzo719. All right, I think we can get right into the futures watch list. So I'm going to go over the watch list here, leaders and laggards, why stocks are down, why stocks are up, maybe get into some upgrades and downgrades, some news, kind of your one-stop shop to get some information, kind of your cliff notes. I don't know if I'm dating myself there, but cliff notes for the market every morning. Like I said, I'm on from 8:10 a.m. to roughly around 8:40. And I give my scenarios and plan for the day. So today, like I said, it's different because news is dropping, which will dramatically change what I'm going to do after that. And you got to let the dust settle. So let's get into the watch list. So we'll be looking at here. The VIX is elevated, no surprise. People are going to hedge up a little bit before CPI, which the VIX isn't that fearful, but it's up 2.91%. Okay, it's at 13.81. Bitcoin getting some love this morning, up 1.54. Silver's up 1%. Gold's up 0.36. 30-year bonds up 0.35. That should put the 10-year yield lower, but like I said, CPI could change that. Gold's up 0.34. 10-year yield, we'll see it at 820 when we look at the triple-headed monster. The Russell is flat. Russell's very sensitive to the 10-year yield. ES is flat. The Dow is basically flat, down 0.04. The Nasdaq's down 0.05, basically flat. The dollar is down 0.19. Crude, like I said, is down 0.5%. Okay, crude is bottoming out at a key level, the most traded price of the last year. Okay, that's a very key level in crude. So we'll have to see what goes on with that. Okay, moving on to the Mag 7 Plus. All right, I'm very interested in coin. I was very interested, and I just missed it the other day when it dropped to 193. However, Really, 205 is a very key area in coin. So Bitcoin's got some love this morning, and I'm surprised coin's not up a little more, but maybe because of CPI. Okay. Now Tesla's up 0.45. AMD. There's not much leaders here. Okay, besides Coinbase. Laggard, we got Meta, Google, Amazon, and Boeing. Boeing is the laggard this morning. Is there a reason? Let's see. Stefan maintains a buy and Boeing maintains. Okay, that's not really. But Boeing's a laggard. All right, let's look at the top sector stocks. Goldman Sachs is up 0.24. Home Depot's up 0.18. Not much there to talk about. And there's not really a laggard. I mean, Exxon is basically not even down. All right, so we're all waiting for CPI. Let's look at the swing trade list. Who's leading that? Dell. Dell, I believe, got a price target raise. I don't think they reported earnings yet. No, they did not. Okay. So Dell, Spotify, let's see, Ulta, Beauty, and Bitcoin ETF, obviously MicroStrategy, but there's not much strength this morning. Waiting for CPI. Is there a laggard? Yes, there is. All right, the meme stocks taking a hit this morning, down 10%, down 9%. AMC, Reddit down 3%. All right, that's really the laggards there. Not much to say in laggards. Like I said, we have CPI coming up. All right, let's look at the sectors. Oop, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. So, utilities, I mean, like I said, up 0.06 is not really leaders, and there's nothing down. Nothing really to report on sectors as much at all. Okay, now, we do have economic news, big economic data coming out. Let's look over to what we're going to see here. Now, sometimes I noticed with this site, sometimes their forecast and a consensus are a little off. However, we're looking at core inflation today, dropping at 8.30. Previously 3.8, expecting 3.6. Now let me just double check that with the juice here. Let's see here, 8.30. U.S. headline forecast is 3.4. Previous 3.5. That's the headline. Okay. Now let's look at the core. Forecast is 3.6. Okay, so we're gonna go with the consensus number here. So 3.6, previous 3.8. Okay, so expecting a 0.2 reduction in core. Obviously, that will be bullish. All right, inflation, the headline number, expecting 3.4, previous 3.5, expecting a 0.1 reduction there. Also got retail sales coming out. Okay, so that's what's coming out at 8:30. That should move the markets. Now, also got 10 a.m. You got business inventories, NHAB housing market index. Not sure how much that will move the market, but I'll be cognizant of it at 10 a.m. Okay, so that's what's going on. Now, as far as anything else, we'll look at the juice. Let's see here. I don't really see anything to note that I would need to talk about. Let's see if there's anything else here this morning that I would need to talk about. All right, let's see what's going on with these stocks. AMC stock fell 11%. All right, let's see what else. Boeing stock fell 1.1%. The U.S. Justice Department said that the aircraft manufacturer had breached its obligations in a 2021 agreement that shielded the plane maker from criminal prosecution over fatal 737 MAX crashes. That's why Boeing's down. All right. I also saw New York Community Bank Corp. Stock rose 3.9%. The lender agreed to sell a portfolio of about $5 billion in mortgage warehouse loans to J.P. Morgan. Walmart stock rose 0.1 after the retail giant announced that its plans to cut hundreds of jobs. All right. Tesla's also cutting jobs. Tesla stock fell 0.2 after the EV manufacturer faced an 11-week-over-week China sales, which sales dropped. But I also said that they're going to drop jobs as well in California. All right. That's what's going on there. Let me see if there's anything else I could talk about here. Not really. Okay. Let's move over to earnings. Let's see if there's anything really to talk about. This morning we had Dole. Like I said, not a lot of big earnings, but Cisco after the close today. Cisco after the close today. Walmart before the open tomorrow. Baidu, JD.com, John Deere. Those are some decent ones. Under Armour. Those are all Canada Goose, all before the open tomorrow. Okay, upgrades and downgrades. Let's see if we have a list here. I didn't really see anything that's not that too crazy here. Campbell's soup, though, who cares? Yes, demand. All right, Campbell's soup. With downgrades, AIG, Six Flags. Let's see if there's any raises targets here. ONON ticker got a target raise. VRT, Vertiv, got a target raise. Still regretting I didn't do anything on that. Target lowered. Snowflake, target lowered from 212 to 200. BABA, 95 to 92. All right, and let's see an initiate coverage. Nothing really to speak of there. Sorry, I wasn't showing you that, but you heard what I'm saying. All right, but there's nothing really to note here. There's nothing really that's market moving here. Okay. Sorry that I didn't have that up. Now, let's go over to the daily charts. We have 7 minutes to go over our daily charts here. Let's look at what we did. So SPY, you can see this is last week's highs right here. So we broke last week's highs, went all the way up, shy almost. Let's see here. What's yesterday's highs here? Yesterday's highs were 523.83. Wow. Less than $1 away from all-time highs. That's nuts. Okay. So nuts. All right. Where are we at now? We're at 523.27. 523.27. Close to the close in the SPY. Let's look at futures. Remember, we got big data coming out, so let's look at the futures, how that looks. All right, you could see we pushed up in futures. Now we're kind of right at the close. You can see right here, like just like I was saying, holding at last week's highs. Holding last week's highs. You can see we dropped down here to the 9ME daily on the futures. That was the sell-off with the PPI being hot, which the market didn't care about eventually. So very interesting here. You know, you look to the left, you got big time resistance here. All right. So you're not as close to the all-time highs in futures as you are in the SPY. Okay, that's what we have going on there. Now let's look at the Qs. Qs had a bigger day. See, you could see right here we ripped through last week's highs, right? Not as close to all-time highs. All-time highs is 449.34. Okay. This is actually last month's highs is 447.55. That's last month's highs. We're almost back to last month's highs. Okay. Now, what are we at now? 445.90. 445.90. Again, right? Basically at the close, which is basically unchanged from yesterday's close, waiting for CPI to drop in 5 minutes. All right, let's look at futures. So you can see we ripped through last week's highs and basically took out these two highs here. So that's where the short covering, boom, you ripped up. Now you're holding it. Right now you got kind of a weak high here with the overnight and the yesterday's highs right here. Then you got key resistance right out 185.17. Okay. So look, you can see we came right down to the 90-day daily, right down almost to the 50-day moving average with that drop down from PPI being hot. But again, the market did not care. That just removed sellers from the market, which enabled buyers to get back in. Okay. That's what's going on there. Now, this moves is dropping in less than 4 minutes. We can look at the triple-headed monster. We can do that really quickly, and then we'll go right back to futures. You can see yields this morning are down 0.7%, down to 4.4. So like I said before, is this going to be now starting a swing high here to go lower? This would fuel the markets. If we can go back to the 200-day moving average right here at this key level of 4.34 yield. Okay? We're hitting the 50-day moving average right now. But like again, if the CPI is hot, you should see yields rise. If it's not, you should see us pull down. I don't know if we're going to move this far. Right? So that's key to look at. Okay? Now the other is the dollar. The dollar is pushing down right now. Okay? Like I said, same situation. You had lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Now you're starting to get, you get higher low, higher low. Now you're starting to get lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. If this starts to break down, do we land at 103, 90, or on 104? Okay? This is all will change. But it's just nice to see it. And now the VIX, like I said, it's a little elevated because people don't know what the number is going to be. It's just elevated from here because CPI and PPI. All right, maybe a little hedging going on. Like I said, not a lot because there's not a lot of fear. All right, let's go back to futures. We can go right into we could even do let's do a 15-minute chart here. We'll do extend it. All right, we'll watch here together what price does when the news drops. You should see a little volatility coming into the market. We got a minute and a half out. Usually around 10 seconds before you start seeing the volatility pump in. So we'll just wait here. You can see this congestion here in futures right here. So we could rip above this, right? You got got a low all the way down there. Interesting. Here we go. Less than a minute now. I might bring it actually to the futures. I think I might bring it to the futures chart, hourly charts, because I have all my levels there. This has my levels on it, so we'll bring it to the hourly charts and futures on NinjaTrader. You can see the volume right now is only at 53% of normal volume, 67% in the ES. So the volume is not there yet. Okay. Boom. News is dropping. Let's see what we got here. So far, market's moving to the upside. All right, let's look at core inflation. Market's moving to the upside. Core inflation year over year. Expected 3.6. We got 3.6. So that's a 0.2 reduction. That's bullish. Okay, but in line with what we expected. Okay, that's core went down. That is bullish. All right, let's look at the headline number. Headline expected 3.4. We got 3.4. So both expectations in line. Nothing out of what was not expected. However, we moved down 0.1 in headline, and we moved. So right here, here's your core 3.6, previously 3.8. We got 3.6, what was expected. Year over year, inflation headline number 3.4 expected, 3.4, a zero point 0.1 reduction. Okay, so we ripped up. You can see it right here. We pretty much broke the supply zone. Now we're into another supply. Pretty much created a demand zone here now. And the market's moving higher. Market's at 53.01 right now. This is the ES futures. So in line, but this is showing inflation is going down. Now again, this is disinflation, not deflation. So prices are not going lower. Just the rate of the speed of prices increasing is going lower. It's a very different thing. However, we trade on the disinflation, not on deflation. So prices are still going higher. So the market's really liking this right now. So I'm going to switch you over here. This is futures. That's the 15-minute chart on futures, but we're going to switch over to a daily chart and to see what exactly we're doing in futures. So 53.01, right? So look, you're getting a lot of love. Can we reach 53.23 or 53.33 up here today? Okay. Now, another thing we can look at, right, is 10-year yield. Look what happened. 10-year yield is down 2%. There's the move down. See, that was the same before? There's that move down. Where did we go to? 200-day moving average. Went right to where I said. 4.34. I didn't know it would move that far, but it did. All right? But it did. So that means people are buying bonds right now. Bonds, 30-year bonds are up a percent. Yields are going down. That means TLT should be going higher right now. Okay? This is a good sign for the markets. Okay, let me be very clear. Wall Street and Main Street are not the same thing. Now, VIX, let's see what the VIX should push down. Yep, VIX is down. Okay? VIX now is down 1.94%. It was just up. So people are taking their hedges off. Okay? Now, dollar also, this should make the dollar weaker. It has. Okay? Look, it's going towards that 200-day moving average. Just like I said, can it hit down here to the 200-day moving average? Okay, now you're starting to get, like I said, lower highs, lower highs. Can you eventually settle here to see what we do at 103.9? So the triple-headed monster has weakened, which means the markets can go higher. That's important to note, okay? When you got the dollar weakening, you got 10-year yields. The yields are getting lowered. People are buying bonds. And the VIX is getting lowered. That's the triple-headed. That's all makes room for this market to go higher. Okay? Now, I want to let this settle down a little bit so we can come up with some kind of game plan. All right? So let me do that. All right? Let me do that. We'll look at futures. So look at that. Crude's getting a bounce. Crude's bouncing now. Great. All right, let's look at ES. All right. So market's liking this, right? If we looked at the current rolling week profile, here it is, right? You got out of this right here yesterday, just triple top, and you kind of close right here waiting for CPI, and then wham, right? Got a bunch of single prints, really thin volume here. So we're gapping up now. Here's your gap fill, 52.74, 52.74. And now there was single prints here, but these are only in real-time trading hours. But now you have single prints again right here. Now if the market holds these, that's bullish, right? But this is very susceptible to get boom. Now I don't know, like I said, what will happen. But in this case, little tip here, this is the 50% move of the overnight, 52.84. That's, you want to see the market hold this level. If you break that 52, what did I say, 84, then you could possibly fill that gap. Okay. So how do we look at this with this large gap? Large gaps are not easy to really trade. So you got yesterday. Now I want to show something about yesterday, and I talked about it yesterday. Okay. Look what the market did. Remember I said this level would be key yesterday, right? I said this little pack here in the most shorter price of the week, market needs to hold that, and it did, and that's what happened, right? This removed sellers out of the market. That moved down and moved back up. It just removed these sellers that had the cover, which made that move possible. Okay, so here's our highs. Here's our lows from yesterday. Here's the overnight low. Here's the overnight highs. Okay, price is here, 52.93. All right, let's go over gap rules real quick. Here's the gap fill. What's the most bullish? A gap and a go. If we just go, that's the most bullish, right? That's not a trade scenario for me. I don't chase. All right, however, what's the second most bullish? If it tries to pull back and let's say even stops at around the 50% retracement of the overnight, which is that 52.84, which is right here, can't fill the gap, that's bullish. If you fill the gap, and that's also bullish. But if you start to creep back into range, that is not bullish. That's how you gauge the gap. All right. So let's look at some nuance here. You do have a weak low here. I want to point something out here. Here is the most traded price of yesterday and a demand zone and the overnight low and the close. Okay, you're also, this is the only short activity to this much long activity. Okay, want to be clear on that. That level, 52.67 around right here, the bulls have to defend that. Okay, because look where if you look at the charts here, here's yesterday's overnight session. That's the low. People bought that right up to here. They defended it here, bought that. Now look, they bought this. So you got long, long, long being paid. Okay? So this is definitely setting up for some type of fade off the open. Okay? Look, here's the highs. Okay? So if you want to fade this open, what would that look like? Now, I'm going to go with the bullish scenarios first. Excuse me. Give me one sec here. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Talk to my daughter. Let's see. ES scenarios. Let's do it. So let's look at this here. Now, if you're a bull and the bulls have the strength, they have to defend this area. Okay? Overnight low, most traded price of yesterday in the close. That has to hold. And look, you have single prints right underneath that. That should not be much support, but if it is, that's bullish. All right, look, we're already retracing back to the midpoint. I'd like it to stay up here. However, let's see if this market does this. If it pushes up, comes through, there's one. Gap fill, you can push up, right? That's one. That's one scenario. Another one is you push down and you start to go into this level, like this box right here. This needs to be defended. Now, you could just nicely come in here, higher low, and rip up. You can also do a little bear trappy thing where you think it's going to sell off really quickly, recovers it, and also do that, all right? So you got to be cognizant of that. It's a general area. That's what I'd probably be interested in only as a long. Short side, okay? This market right here, here's the overnight highs, right? Here's that 50% retracement of the overnight. If you push up, then the market internally is not that strong. People might want to take profits and you rip through the open, right? Break this. You could definitely come down to the gap fill. Now, if you get a little push off that gap fill and you break that, look at the most traded price of the overnight. It's right here also. So there's just tons of people who initiated trades there. So now, here's that box to defend. If this gets taken out, okay, and you start to accept underneath this level, most likely it will take out these single prints and rip right back to the most traded price of the week, which is 52.45. Okay, if you take that out and hold it, we're going to test the most traded price of the year at 52.06. I'm not saying this is probable. I'm saying this would just have to happen. If this happens, this is what will happen. I'm not saying this will happen. It's just a scenario. Okay, the real key level is here, 52.70 to 52.64. That's the level for the bulls to defend. Okay, hope everybody understands that. Now let's look at the Nasdaq. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have time. I'll make it brief if I have to. Okay, let's see how different it looks. Okay, if we're going to look at a profile here, look at that thin volume. That's normal because we just pushed up. All right, so you have nice extension here, nice excess put in. What else do we have? We have pretty decent week low here. That's at the bottom of yesterday's lows. You see how yesterday defended this most traded price of the year? Right there. Market opened, and I know it came down back again, but then boom, right up there, right? So here's the midpoint of the overnight, 184.70. Here's the overnight high, here's the overnight low. Okay, you don't have as exact levels as you do in the ES. Here's yesterday's highs. Okay. Yesterday's lows. So we already talked about the gap rules. I don't have to talk about that. Okay, we have single prints. Okay, so I would say in this case it's a little different than the ES. Your overnight low right here, and here is the value area low. Actually, that's a value area high. So just you have to watch the overnight low, 183.92 in here. Okay. Obviously, there's demand now here, exploding out of this. So if we break this out for the overnight, you're going to have demand right here. So I'm going to get rid of this supply zone. That's gone. Get rid of this supply zone. That's gone. Okay. So this is an area you want to see the market defend. So let's get into the scenarios here really quickly. Just right here, you just want to see. Now I have to point this out. The most traded price of the day yesterday did not follow the highs here. So this is the close. Here's your overnight. Here's your overnight most traded price and the close together. This is the price you want to defend for the NASDAQ. So same thing I talked about before. Could come into here, fill the gap, go higher. Could come into this area and bounce out. Okay, if it breaks the overnight lows, you could definitely find ourselves back to the most traded price of the week. Okay, so that would be the bearish scenario. So let me just do that here. So here's your midpoint of the overnight. You could push up, come through that open, break this, fill the gap, right? And then if you fill that gap and you start to test this area 184.12, which is the close and the most traded price of the overnight, and you rip through that, you break that, we are going to probably go back and test that most traded price of the week, 182.90. Okay, now I would lean on the side of the bulls. However, we've been just kind of moving up in this market, so I don't know. Like I said, those are the scenarios. Okay, those we have to look for. All right, that will be it for me. We have a plan. Stay green, stay patient. Today I might start doing a recap video at the end of the day to see what I saw, maybe even a midday cap video. I'm going to try to incorporate that into to see what I look at. I think that would really help out a lot of people to what I look at once the market is open. So, but anyway, we have our plan today. Be patient. Just really see how this market sets up. All right, everyone, I'll see you tomorrow morning. Take it easy.